What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Ditch the Ego show. I am Ditch the Ego, and I'm super, super excited to be fully launching this podcast, this show. Obviously, I make music. I am an artist, a singer-songwriter, a producer, an engineer. I do it all, to be honest. And I wanted to expand into the podcast world, not because I want to be a podcaster, but because I really want to give more content to my community, to the world. And to be honest, that's how the world is now. The world is on the internet, especially the entertainment industry, the music industry. If you want to be successful in those lanes, you got to become a content creator. So that's what this is, about, is being able to create more content, talking directly to you guys, hopefully resonating with people all over the internet, and hopefully y'all will also resonate with my songs. So just a little update on DTE Music, where everything's at right now. Had a wild year and a half to 2 years. I had a whole production team, and I had a lot of internal stuff occur, and I had to restructure the whole team. I had to let go of some people, and I had to really take more ownership and take on more responsibility. So I was in the middle of my last album, The Art of Alchemy, and I had to scrap a lot of stuff, rework a lot of songs. So The Art of Alchemy truly was alchemy. Like, I had to take what was before and alchemize it into the album that is now out for you guys to listen. But it was a wild ride, right? So it was tough because I lost a lot of relationships that I thought meant more to the people who I was in those relationships with. And it was tough, it was tough, and I felt really defeated, and I felt like, I really needed to start fresh. And so now here we are, 2025, start of June, and I'm launching this whole new content approach, whole new brand approach. We're going to be dropping music every week for the next 16 weeks. I've got a new album that I'm releasing, and I'm going to be dropping it a song at a time. Now, shout out to Russ for the inspiration for that. He dropped 96 weeks in a row. So 16 ain't nothing, but the idea of distributing a song at a time to the people is, honestly, again, it fits in with the whole social media, internet landscape of the industry. Feed people consistently every week, bit by bit, because their attention spans are so small now because of TikTok and Vine back in the day. I'm dating myself. But the point is dropping a song a week is a much more efficient way of building the brand and building the fan base and trying to get the message out there and trying to get the music out there. So we're going to be dropping a song a week, 16 songs on the album, 16 weeks in a row, weekly music. So I'm excited to start that this week, June 6th, Friday, with my new song, I Can Never Give Up, with Dasmine DeLeon and Kira Ruth, and produced by Mirror Magic and Dasmine DeLeon as well. And I'm just super excited. This song is a special song to me. It's really one of those songs you can play at any time of the day. It came together very naturally. Mirror Magic actually used Dasmine's new sound kit to create the entire beat. Is all from like her own drum kits and her piano, and he put it all together from the sound kit to make the beat. So there's a lot of special magic in this song. So I'm super excited for you guys to hear it. And just so you guys know how the content schedule is going to work, Mondays, I'm going to be dropping the pre-saves to the music that's going to be dropping that Friday, the song. And Wednesdays, you're going to be getting a podcast, and I'm going to be chopping up the podcast for content and posting clips on social media throughout the week. And then Friday, you'll get the new song of the week. So that's how the content schedule is going to look. And then obviously I'll be posting on X and doing all kinds of other stuff in between to spark discussion and whatnot, right? Current events and stuff like that, right? Especially sports, because I love sports, and NBA finals start tomorrow. So we'll definitely be talking a little bit about that. Getting into baseball again. I'm a big Dodger fan here in LA, so probably talk a little bit about that as well. But, like I said, it's going to be very music centric, but it's also going to be we're going to have guests, not just people in the music industry, but people who want to talk about mental health, want to talk about psychology, want to talk about philosophy, want to talk about spirituality, We're going to have a lot of that kind of content too. So it's not just going to be me putting out a podcast talking about myself or my stuff. We're going to be having discussions and really trying to start new narratives in the culture and just get people thinking, because that's what podcasts do for me. I love listening to people just, talk about interesting topics because it makes me question and learn new beliefs with myself. And so I'm really excited to start this journey. So without further ado, let me get into this real quick. Today's episode is going to be about why I'm doing this rhythm, which just this whole new content schedule and everything, which ties directly into what I just said, about really having like a schedule that you're going by. And when you have a schedule you're going by in life, when you have a rhythm, when you have a structure, you're going to be a lot more successful. So for me, I've struggled with this a lot in my life. As a creative, my mind is all over the place, and I like to be able to keep that, fluidity in my life so that I can have that creative inspiration and have those moments of being able to kind of just move like water, But what I've discovered is I have to have those times, like time for that set aside, and have a structure built around all of that, how I live my life, how I get up every day, my morning routine, again, the content schedule, right? So me doing this content schedule isn't just because I'm trying to get content out there and I want people to, find me and stuff and support all this stuff that I'm doing. It's because I'm also trying to give myself some structure. And if I'm dropping pre-save links Monday, and I'm doing podcasts on Wednesdays, and I'm doing new songs on Fridays for the next 16 weeks, 4 months, that's going to keep me very, very, very grounded. And it's going to help me scale the business and scale the music and scale the message and the brand, which will help me feel better in life and help me get closer to where I'm trying to get to in life. So, that's the purpose of this. And I encourage everybody out there to do the same for themselves. Find a structure that works for you. And build it, schedule your days, schedule your weeks, schedule the hours in your day, and figure out, okay, what is a good routine for me weekly, daily, and hourly to help myself put myself in the best position to succeed. Now, you have to do a lot of work in your head first, to get out of your own way and to figure out, what am I doing subconsciously that I don't realize I'm doing that's keeping me from getting where I want to go? Because most of us are in prison with ourselves. So we're in prison with ourselves. We want to get out, but we're the people who's imprisoning us. And it's a cycle. Sometimes you feel like you're in prison, and then sometimes you feel like you're imprisoning yourself and your capabilities. So the way to free yourself from that is becoming aware. That's how you free yourself from your own self-imposed prison that all of us are in some way, shape, or form. Some of us more than others, but all of us start life not fully aware. And then, God willing, we become aware over time. So awareness to me is the key to being able to know what kind of structure and what kind of rhythm works for you. So I know my purpose. My purpose is to help inspire people to choose change through my music, through my writing, and through my speaking. So building a content schedule around being able to do that and get that message out to as many people as possible is going to put me in the best position to succeed. Working out consistently. I'm a big hot yoga guy. I go to hot yoga a lot. Doing that more often, that's going to help me succeed. Instead of doing it once a week, start with doing it 3 times a week. That's going to help me feel better with my body. Eating more whole foods. So fruits and vegetables and things that come out of the ground and are not processed and mixed with all these chemicals. That's going to help me feel better and be able to be better. Consuming very specific types of content. On the internet, you can consume all kinds of stuff that is terrible for you. And so choosing what kind of content I consume and create, right? All of these things are going to help put me in the best position to succeed as the best version of myself. So I encourage everybody out there, figure out what your purpose is, because right now our culture teaches us that, well, you got to be this or you got to be that, and you got to go to college, and then you go to college and you get a certificate or a degree, and then what? And you can't get a job because the society is selling us a lie. So the true way to succeed and give yourself spiritual freedom and just freedom in general is to find what your purpose is, figure out your purpose, and then do everything you can to put your energy towards building that and embodying your purpose. For me, I was very lucky that I found my purpose at 10 years old with my music, but it's evolved and I've discovered myself through that process. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. A lot of times I'm really hard on myself thinking, oh, I haven't gotten where I want to be yet, and I'm getting older and all this stuff. Getting where you need to go is part of the journey. And then you realize you're never going to get where you're trying to go. It's just the journey is the destination. So give yourself a little grace, allow yourself to find yourself. And when you find yourself, allow yourself to be yourself. So that's what today is about, is really just this initiation of content, of putting more of my message out, of putting more of my music out, of really, really embodying my truth. And it's just the beginning, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. And I'm really thankful to everybody out there who supports me, my music, what I'm doing, my message, everybody who resonates with what I'm creating with the brand. I really, really appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. So before we end this episode, in some other news, right, we got the NBA Finals, like I said. That's going to be incredible. I'm going to make my prediction right now. OKC in 5. I'm sorry, Indiana, but you just can't compete with OKC. Even if you do the whole scoring 2 seconds after a made basket, it's just OKC is a dynasty being birthed in front of our eyes right now. They're going to be the youngest team to ever win the championship. And to be honest, we should have all just saw this coming. A lot of people are like, oh, they're too young, that it's never been done before. This team, Oklahoma City, this team is by far the best team in the league, and by far the most, has the highest upside in the league as well. And I think we're looking at a dynasty that could end up rivaling the Golden State Warriors dynasty. And I know that's saying a lot because Steph Curry is the greatest shooter ever, but this team is special and they have assets. They have a lot of assets to use in the future. So shout out to Halliburton for getting the Pacers as far as they've gotten. Shout out to Pascal Siakam as well. But I just don't think the Indiana Pacers are going to be able to compete with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They'll get a game. They'll get a game. I'll give them that. They'll get a game, but they're not going to win more than a game, in my opinion. And I think OKC will win in 5, and they're going to win the championship. They'll be the champs. So, starts tomorrow night, Thursday. So let's see how that goes. Super excited to watch. Super excited to see what happens. Let me know if you guys have any, predictions. Throw them down in the comments. In other news as well, in the music industry, Russ just dropped a new podcast. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I've seen a lot of the clips. I've seen every podcast Russ has ever been on. I always watch them right when they come out, and I'm just super, super, super excited to soak up the game. Shout out to Russ for just giving all this free game, and he's a genius. The way he figured out how to get his content and his music to the people and not have to be a part of the labels and not have to move to Los Angeles and not have to be doing all this stuff is it's admirable. It's incredible. And I'm just super grateful for his leadership and for his blueprint that he's given us. Santiago is my favorite album of all time. Beating out Nothing Was the Same by Drake. And that's saying a lot because Drake was the guy who got me into making music in the first place. And that was my all-time album for 20 years. And Santiago overtook it. So it's because of the soul. It's because of the meaning. It's because of the message. It's the production. It's just everything. It's just so special. It's such a special album. So I'm super excited to listen to Wild when he drops it, June 27th. Shout out to Russ. But I'm kind of doing Russ promo now. But yeah, you know what? we all should be doing Russ promo. He's fire, super fire, and everybody should be listening to his message because he's giving truth and he's trying to help people change their lives and be the best version of themselves. But he dropped a new podcast, and he's always talking a lot about how, artists need to take more ownership, take more ownership of your stuff. You guys can do a lot more than you think in your bedrooms. The technology is there. You just have to put in the time. You have to put in the effort. You have to put you have to practice your game, but it's really impressive. Russ producing, writing, singing, doing everything. And I'm at that point now where I call it the musical infinity gauntlet. Russ can produce, he can sing, he can mix, he can rap, he can write. Like he's so good. And I'm at that point now where I'm able to do the same thing. I can produce, I can write, I can sing, I can rap, I can mix. So I can make a song from scratch in one day and put it out the next week. So that allows us leverage as musicians. That allows us to take ownership of our brand and be able to consistently put content out, because we're not going to be able to keep up with the major labels who are putting millions of dollars behind all these artists that you see that are on NewMusic Friday playlists and all kinds of stuff like that. So, I just think that it's really important for producers, artists, engineers, writers, any y'all out there who are trying to create music. I think it's really important to consistently drop content, drop beats every week, drop songs every week, whatever it is, whatever it is, do what you need to do to put out the content and let it get out there and let the marketplace decide how they feel about it. But it's the consistency that's key. And I think a lot of us get trapped in this idea of like, well, Drake cannot drop for a year and then drop. Yeah, but he's Drake. Right. And these major artists on these labels, they got millions of dollars behind these songs, and they got all kinds of PR companies, and they got all kinds of brand sponsorship deals. And they're connected to all of the people who run the playlists and run the radio. So their song's going to get in front of the people, even if they take a year off from dropping music. Mine's not. I have to create that momentum so that I can achieve escape velocity. And that's just the truth. And Russ has achieved escape velocity, and he is lying, man. So shout out to Russ. Thank you for all of the game inspiration and for showing us the way. Also, as far as the world goes, right? As far as the world goes, we're in a really interesting time. I'm going to refrain from getting too political on this podcast because I just don't think it's part of my brand, and everybody has very conflicting opinions, and I'm here to try to have us focus more on truth and focus more on our truth and ourself and how we can be the best versions of ourselves, even amongst all of the politics and the world drama and yada, yada, yada. So, but what I am going to say is we live right now in a very tumultuous time. There's a lot of craziness occurring, not just in politics, but in the culture. And something that I'm really, really, really passionate isn't the right word, but I feel very strongly about is the sexualization of our culture. I think that we live in a very sexualized culture where you see OnlyFans and you see porn and you see promiscuous behavior as something that's not just accepted by the culture, but celebrated. So I encourage everybody out there to really be careful about what kind of content you're consuming, what kind of artists you're listening to, what kind of movies you're watching, because what kind of accounts you're following on social media, because it will desensitize your brain to the sexualization of everything. And then it will get in the way of you being able to date in real life, make real connections. And it's not a good road for our culture to go down. I will say, I do believe in the traditional family. I do believe that it's very important to find someone that you can, have your life with, that you fall in love with, that you feel is someone special to you, that you can grow with. And I feel it's important to have children because I think having children is the greatest blessing and gift that we can experience in life. I'm not saying everybody has to. I'm just saying I think it's important because it keeps us in a healthy balance. And when we over-sexualize life, it's just poisonous, just like anything. You can't drink too much water or else you'll drown. You could drown from drinking water. So I encourage people to be careful and think about the generation that we're influencing. Think about the young children who are seeing the sexualization of the culture and thinking, well, maybe I should do that too, because they don't understand. So I'm here to try to bring purpose and try to bring meaning to a culture that doesn't have a lot of that right now. And so hopefully people will resonate with the message. Hopefully people will be inspired by the message and will start protecting their spirit, because all of this stuff is kills the soul. All that kind of culture stuff, you know, you look at the Diddy case within the music industry. Diddy is just one case. Harvey Weinstein's another case, but there's a whole lot of other cases out there we don't know about, we will never know about. And that's because it's the culture of those spaces. Now, not all the culture of those spaces, right? But like there's a huge piece of that culture that in those spaces that's how it is. And I just encourage you guys to protect yourself. I encourage you guys to think about what you deserve and what you want from life. Because I think that life that Diddy chose and Harvey Weinstein chose and a lot of these OnlyFans girls are choosing, that's not the life you want. Trust me, it's not the life you want. So, yeah, without further ado, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate everybody for watching, for supporting the music. And I'm super excited to get this journey started. Thank you guys so much. Peace. All right, cool.